The Commanders are back from the bye week, and we're hoping things will start turning around for the Burgundy and Gold. Next up, a Sunday night battle against the Broncos right here on NBC4. Our team insider, JP Finley, also back, joins us now live in studio with more on what he's looking ahead to this week. JP, what can we talk about at this point?
That guy.
Oh, yes.
Jayden Daniels.
Yes,
Unfortunately,
yes.
The last time we saw him on the field at Northwest Stadium, he had that air cast on the elbow. Here's what we know about Jayden Daniels. He's going to return to practice this week, although head coach Dan Quinn says unlikely to play on Sunday. But remember, this young man, when he's playing football, it's just pure joy. I don't know if you can see that smile. Remember what he brings to the field. And I know so many people are like, hey, Jayden's already been injured 3 times this year. Are you sure you want to bring him back?
That's my point.
You've made that point on. Well, Dan Quinn addressed, hey, we've got a lot of different things here, but we're considering all of the options when it comes to number 5.
As far as that's not something we really discussed internally. The first part for us, honestly, Howard, was like, hey, how are we going to get the player better? And let's dig in on that first, not knowing the exact time frame. So that's really where the focus was, right away and right off the bat. We knew we had the bye coming, and then we'd have a chance to regroup and huddle up and, kind of push from there.
Quinn continued to say that they understand Jayden's importance for the big picture. They're working on getting him healthy, and then they're going to make that decision. Another player Washington could use healthy, Terry McLaurin. This is him hiding when we were in Madrid. Terry working out, but didn't want the cameras to get him. Kerwin still got him.
Of course
Terry making progress. There was a light practice today in Ashburn. Terry took part in that. I asked Dan Quinn, what's your optimism level for getting this special of a receiver back on the field? He said, look at that toe tap. That's just poetry in motion.
Yeah, I remember that.
DQ said, I'm excited about the possibilities. Needs to see McLaurin stack a few days of practice with his speed and his burst, but if he can get there, they'll get him back on the field. Remember, that's the play that re-injured that quad. But what an incredible play. You want to get McLaurin on the field, and it kind of gets you thinking. For Washington, listen, the playoffs are probably a distinct possibility. It's probably not going to happen. Even if they run the table, they would need so much to break their way. So what is Washington playing for? We talked to Dan Quinn about that. I asked him, Dan Quinn and Adam Peters put this team together with a specific plan, right? They want to see that plan executed, even if it's only the final 6 games of the year. You don't want to lose on heartbreaking overtime interceptions with the owner and the general manager watching on. You'd love to get some wins because Dan Quinn, he's riding a 6-game losing streak. The pressure only gets higher and higher. And I think for Washington, for DQ, for Adam Peters, they want to see some good football. They want to see their team perform. There's another guy, Luke McCaffrey, we're probably not seeing again this year. So what is left on the schedule? You already mentioned they're playing Denver Sunday night here on NBC4, Sunday Night Football against the Broncos. What about after that? And I think there's some really interesting possibilities. This game, December 7th against the Vikings have been awful all of a sudden. Their second-year quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, hasn't looked very good. Now he's in concussion protocol. That Vikings game is certainly winnable. Then what about the Giants? The Giants have already fired their head coach, and they just fired their defensive coordinator. That team's a mess and gives up massive fourth-quarter leads. It's possible Washington could build some momentum before they get Eagles, Cowboys, and they finish it off with that Eagles sandwich, which is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
But when I look at this schedule, the Giants and the Vikings, those are winnable games. We'll have to see what it looks like, but you have to understand, NFL football is not like other sports. It's such a finite season. They only play 17 games that the goal has to try to be winning because it's not just about Jayden and Terry. It's a 53-man roster.
Right,
it's a 70-man locker room with the practice squad. You got to be fair to everybody on that team, and that means when guys are healthy, they play. Football players play.
And I love what you said about it. Just gives me perspective about executing the plan. They've worked so hard. They're not just going to say throw in the towel and like, hey, we're just going to get a good draft pick for next season.
Totally. And 2 other players that they've opened the window for them to return from the injured reserve. Noah Brown, of course, the heroic receiver from the Hail Mary.
Yes.
And Will Harris. Will Harris was a safety they signed and was looking really good, got hurt early on. A lot of things seemed like they fell apart once Harris injured that leg. So if you get both of those guys back on the field, you're starting to at least see what the vision was for Washington, and ideally maybe some wins follow.
Real quick, can we beat the Broncos?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, JP. It's always great to have you.
Thank you, Ron.